G'day Rugby League fans and welcome to the ACC's Mad Monday podcast, your home of Rugby League chat, your home of Warriors chat, and of course the Mad Monday podcast is all brought to you by 4 and 20 Pies, the perfect at-home snack for watching Rugby League. Big episode today, joining me all the way from the beautiful Bay of Plenty, the one and only Ben Hurley. Ben, how you going?
Kia ora, it's so good to be back. Another huge season of NRL stretching in front of our eyes into the infinite distance of big hits and biff and probably a lot of time waiting for the bunker.
Yes, 100%. And I tell you what, ahead of round one, there is, 26 weeks ahead of us. There's postseason, months and months. And knowing that while it's quite warm now, it's about to get cold and rainy in New Zealand, but every weekend you will have some amazing rugby league to just snuggle up in front of the fire and watch with your loved ones. Of course, we have got heaps of Warriors packs to give away every single commentary this season, all right? So do get around us. We've got plenty of stuff going on, a lot of free stuff too. There's a Mad Monday Munters group live on Facebook. The chat is heating up on the first ever team list. Now, make sure you get along to that Facebook page and comment after every single game. We'll be using a lot of your listeners' feedback for this year's Mad Monday podcast. So if you're keen to get involved, that's the way to do it. Facebook.com/groups/Odin Ryan. And the name of the group is Mad Monday Munters. And also we've chosen a really easy name to spell. Ben, do you even know how to spell Odin Ryan?
No, I think when I used to do Hurley's Heroes every week, I used to have to Google it every single week to get the spelling right. That's
right. It's Oudenryn. So that's nice and confusing. Of course, Supercoach is back for 2024 if you want to compete against the Mad Monday crew and the Mad Monday Munters group. Chuck in this code, 287823. Plenty of free stuff on offer if you do manage to finish top, including signed Warriors jerseys and, of course, bragging rights saying you beat Di Handwood, Mania Stewart, Ben Hurley and old Keezy in Supercoach this year. Now, without further ado, we will jump straight into the first Warriors game of the season. It was the Warriors falling to the Sharks 16 points to 12.
On the third, a short ball, and he's over. Adam Fanua-Blake just to the left of the posts. The Sharks couldn't contain him.
Oh, it's a great little run.
Oh, Luke Metcalf, he's up, and he's under the post. How many steps can you do? A lovely little play from Talakai.
Oh, wow.
And what looks like quite an easy try. Talakai, there's an overlap here.
Oh, gosh.
And Mulatalo
Great defence.
can't get in, but he manages an offload, and Talakai scores.
Ben Hurley, myself and Di Henwood, we kicked off the year with our first ever commentary from Mount Smart Stadium. That was extremely exciting, and heading into this, I was feeling positive. The Sharks, they've only won one opening round game in the last decade. The stadium atmosphere was off the chain. The first two games at home already sold out. But from where you were watching, mate, a lightning sort of opening 12 minutes and even an opening 20 minutes, and then it just completely fell off a cliff from there.
Yeah, I mean, it was the word clunky's been used. We were incredibly clunky. We were the clunky Cole Medina. There was so much clunk on the clunkometer. But yeah, like the first 12, I thought this is going to be an absolute routing. And then I remembered that I'm a Warriors fan and you can never count on anything. It was like the moment that the disallowed try from DWZ, it was like we stopped being able to string together passes, stopped being able to put together backline moves. There were probably some other factors as well. Wade Egan getting injured, that was that was a massive factor as well. But yeah, all around, there was just rust everywhere, rust falling off it like a Ford Cortina in someone's front yard.
Absolutely, and Keezy's dad's not there to fix all that rust. One thing, like the opening 12 minutes, obviously we scored two great tries. Adam Fanua-Blake bowling his way over, and then that second try we had a bit of Metcalf brilliance, and I was thinking, oh yeah, Metcalf, he's going to be in the Warriors side for the foreseeable future. I can see us finishing not only top 4 but top 2. We were doing everything right. We were getting to the end of our sets. We were quick plays of the ball, scooping it it up, passing heaps of meters through the middle, catching the Sharks on the back foot, and then capitalising. And then that try you mentioned that was overturned, Sean Johnson, a pin-perfect kick to the corner to Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, and he was tackled out whilst in midair by Ronaldo Molitalo. But after that, and I was thinking, their game is on fire here. Sean's kicking to the corner with Dallin underneath it, and you could do the same with Mars on the other side. If we keep doing this, it could be awesome times for the Warriors. But then after that, we completely stopped even trying that tactic. We stopped kicking to the corners and putting pressure on the Sharks. Ben, I think one thing that I'm positive about is that Andrew Webster specialises in revving up the Warriors after a loss like this. They will know exactly where they went wrong, yada, yada, yada. But are you concerned, like I am, that after that 20 minutes, we kind of ran out of gas? Like, is fitness a concern from where you're sitting, or?
All right, Blocker Roach, just calm down, okay? Keezy Roach here.
They were out on their feet, Ben.
I just have a problem with fitness to the Warriors. No, I think that's probably a factor. But it's really boring to say, but I think one of the biggest problems was just dropping the ball all the time, like so many errors.
Yeah.
So, as completed sets. And, you talk about the coach, Webb Lasso. I think he will turn things around because they want to play well for him. Players want to play well. There's a respect there. We saw it last season. They want to do better. They don't. I don't think he's not a sticky Stewart. He's not throwing the absolute, he's not busting an aorta every time he goes into the sheds. I think he kind of just looks disappointed, and they don't want to do that because he's such a great, father figure type to that team, and they don't want to disappoint him. I think that hurts way more than having, being yelled at.
Yeah, absolutely. Letting down your dad, your coach like that, that does have a pretty substantial effect on you. We touched on it already. Wade Egan injured. Even when he just went off for his spell before halftime, we did lose a lot of go forward. And one thing I have sort of circled here is you've got Mitch Barnett and Adam Fanua-Blake and Wade Egan for that opening sort of 30 minutes. And then they all sort of go off. The interchange comes on. We've got Lussick, Bunty R4, and, others, Tom Ali or whoever it might be, coming off the bench as well. We kind of start with this amazing team which gets us so much go forward, and then they all switch out with three players that don't really provide that same spark. Meanwhile, Jazz Tavanga, who was tearing it up in New South Wales Cup, do you think we need Jazz back in the reserves if he can control that whole red mist giveaway a penalty type situation he's got going on?
Well, that's the issue, isn't it? If you're trying to stamp out errors and penalties, he's probably not the player to bring back in.
Yeah,
I actually thought Dylan Walker played pretty well. He's still providing some great support off the bench. I think that's where he's best, is coming off the bench. He obviously had to start a few games last season because of injury. Can we talk about Luke Metcalf though? As you say, that try that was an all timer. That do you know who that reminded me of? Stacey Jones. That try.
He said
just out of nowhere, little jink here, little jink there, and over.
It was absolutely brilliant. And I love, because obviously for years, Sean Johnson was all about his running game, but now he's more about, kicking and running the back line and having a real run-first bloke in the halves alongside him. I really like that combination. To be honest, that try was probably weak defence from the Sharks, but the way that Metcalf was stepping through, he actually forced the Sharks players to collide with one another. So it was a brilliant use of the left foot step and to dive over. I was bloody fizzed up for that. One thing, though, with Wade Egan, especially getting injured, Ben, and there was that nasty replay of him getting his arm stuck underneath. I think it was Dylan Walker, and just folding it in all sorts of ways. You don't want to see it folded. I have kind of circled hooker as a real problem for us because Wade Egan is absolutely brilliant. When he goes off, it's not as good, but Lussick does an okay job. But if he isn't in our team at all, that's going to be a real issue for us.
Yeah, when he got injured, it was quite surprising because it wasn't his head for once.
I know, which is like a positive, obviously.
It is a positive. That is a concern that Wigan, he's not the biggest guy. He's wiry. He's slight, which is two of his positives. But also, it does mean that the physical aspect he is going to get injured a lot. And I've seen a lot of chat about Lussick and that he didn't quite fill that role. It is a difficult role to fill. Those are big shoes to fill.
Massively.
I mean, maybe you're right. And you know who covers hooker is Jazz Tavanga as well.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Wade is that he's improved so much. His ability to pick up the ball and go for a run and just ask questions of the defence before making a scucky no-look pass to someone. We've really got a lot of go forward from that. So when he's off and whoever the replacement might be comes in, they just can't seem to provide that sort of, asking questions of the defence. They can, provide service okay and occasionally go for a burrow over or something like that. But he's just really evolved that part of his game. Jackson Ford obviously made quite a few errors, but at the same time, he gets through so much work. He makes so many tackles. He runs great lines. If he could just not drop the ball cold and make really dumb errors, I think he could be... we already know what kind of a talent he is, but I don't think it was all bad from him. How did you, my personal player of the game for the Warriors, obviously Adam Fanua-Blake had an amazing game, scored a try and had that great 30-metre run in the second half where he was just bumping people off, but Taine Tuopiki starting in fullback, I think he was probably our best player out on the field.
Yeah, again, size is an issue though, isn't it? He is a good player. He's a good player for the future. I'd definitely give him better than a pass mark. That's for sure. And then Roger went into fullback, of course.
Yeah.
At one point, and it was safety. It was just lovely. It was like putting an old pair of jeans on. Just your favourite pair.
It was a beautiful baggy pair of skatey jeans from the 90s. And Roger, when he did come on in the stadium, obviously Chan's out, so Taine Tuopiki is in at fullback. The things needed to happen so that Roger, in his first official game back for the Warriors, gets to play 5 minutes of fullback. Those things all did happen, and for 5 minutes before halftime, he did come in at fullback. The whole stadium just went nuts. He didn't really do anything. I mean, he kind of duffed a catch and, was just finding his feet out there, but everyone was absolutely loving it.
Yeah, hey, I've got a question for you because I want your opinion. Other than Roger, our biggest off-season signing, Kurt Capewell, how do you score him his first game for the Warriors?
Kurt Capewell, I would say that he was finding his sort of footing in our system, which is understandable, going from the Panthers to the Broncos into us. You've got to adapt. But I would say he didn't really make too many massive errors. He looked like I didn't notice him out on the field, which is kind of what you want from a back row when you're massively losing to the Sharks. I'm going to go 7 out of 10 for Capewell. What was your read on it?
Yeah, similar actually. Just, I guess it's hard when you've spent so much money on a player and they come from an absolute champion side.
Yeah.
There is expectations, but you're right. I probably didn't notice enough of him in the game just yet, but yeah, it's probably finding his feet, as you say.
And I'm sure as the season progresses and we get further and further into the crunch time, Capewell will come into his own. That's what we want, that sort of leadership, experienced players. One thing that is really getting on my goat at the moment, now that left side defensively has got Roger Tuivasa-Sheck in its centre, you've got Montoya on the wing. The try for that Sione Katoa basically started. It finished with Talakai scoring on the left side. It started with a break down the right wing, Sione Katoa in free space around about 25, 30 metres, and it was because Montoya jammed in and tried to crush the centre, which left Roger standing there having to play catch up to the winger. That really needs to stop because this whole jamming in on the centres thing, it's fine when you've got Adam Pompey inside you, but Roger's going to take care of things, so we just need to trust. So we need to build that trust, Ben.
Yeah, it did. I think that was the biggest concern for me in the whole game, other than Wigan getting injured again, was that lefty, that exact try was... it just brought up kind of old scars of previous Warriors left edges, which was not an issue as much last year or nowhere near as much. And the other thing, other concern was I was just watching that game, even though we were clunky as AF, I was just so confident that in the last 12 minutes or so where we had all that ball, we were going to go over. And that's how we won games last year. Or we always won those clutch moments at the end of games, and it just didn't happen.
It didn't happen, and we were making a lot of questionable decisions. We weren't able to peg the Sharks down in their own corner using our defence and then, win a penalty and then put pressure on and spread it out to the right. And I know Di Henwood, who was very pleased with how Tane played, but he did say he's not sort of, when you add him in at fullback, he can't link up like Chance does, and the backline can't really open up because he's more of a run-first type of player. And so Sean was going for grubbers through and no one was really chasing. It was a bit of a shambles, you're right. And I still had that sort of 2023 smugness about me as well, where you just thought, no, we'll get the win here. So I guess that's a good lesson for us as fans, Ben.
Yeah, it certainly is. How quickly we forget.
Yeah.
One good season and suddenly we're cocky as.
Oh, it is, and that's if you're a bandwagon fan as well. You need to get used to this feeling because, it's pretty synonymous with being a Warriors fan. Quick question to you. How do you think Nico Hines played? Because for me, he was kind of invisible.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, if you do the super coach, probably spent quite a lot of money on a player that didn't make them a lot.
Massively. And I was in that boat, and Adam, our producer's in that boat as well. A lot of people, but he's been given 6 points in the Dally M leaderboard. So apparently he was the best player out on the field. Whereas I know the Warriors didn't win, but for me, the best player on the field was probably Siosifa Talakai, who I think he set up a try, scored a try, had like 180 odd running meters or something ridiculous like that. So it just goes to show if you're a hot dude with wet hair, you're probably going to get the 6 points on the day.
Yeah, and look, things get much easier, obviously, for the Warriors next week because we play Melbourne at home.
Oh,
which
so
is,
easy.
That's you may as well pencil a W in the column there.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, and the good thing about Melbourne is they just beat the Panthers too, so they definitely won't be massively fired up. We're going to go to some comments from the Mad Monday Munters Facebook group. Give it a search on Facebook and join in. You can feature in our podcast as well. Jackson Ursig reckons that New Kore was massively needed to come on in the middle and get second phase play going. And he agrees that Tuapiki was awesome, all heart, but Chance Nickel Klokstad's ball playing is what we really needed. What do we got here? Sophie Ackland felt the same as Manaya, waiting for us to pull through, but we just didn't. We also seemed quite unorganised and had lots of dead decisions in the final plays. Tane Tuapiki was awesome, and so was Adam Whenua-Blake. I agree there. Played fast ball for the first 20. This is from Michael's side. Then the Sharks got into their groove and could control the ruck. Webby said it best that we tried to win with the big play instead of getting into our groove. Good lesson learnt early on in the season. That is actually true. We were trying to, for that first 20, we were just going through the motions, doing all those things last year that worked really well for us. The things that the Panthers do, i.e. just smothering you with our defence, pushing you down to the corners and then capitalising on mistakes. But Ben, before we wrap up with the Warriors chat, mate, positives to take away from that game, do you have any?
Yes, I think the positive to take away from that game was that it wasn't a blowout.
Yes,
and you've got to have a first game. It's like losing your virginity. You're right. You've got to it's got to happen. Right. It's not going to be good, and you're going to be clunky. You're going to have hands everywhere, and there's probably going to be a disappointing finish where you think you're going to get it done, but you're not.
Yeah.
Okay. But everyone's got to have a first, so that's what it was. It was the first game of the year.
Yeah, and you did right. You're going to come out firing in the first 12, and then reality's going to kick in, and it's going to, you did right, Ben. So, look, plenty of positives to take away. The way we started with some of the best footy we saw all weekend, and what, to be honest, was a pretty scrappy weekend of football. All right, time for a quick break. When we return, we'll have the Stonka of the round and also touch on a massive win for the Melbourne Storm over the Penrith Panthers. Welcome back to the Mad Monday podcast, live from the Export Beer Garden studio. You've got Chris Key and Ben Hurley with you, and now it is time for the Stonka of the round. And it is the Cowboys getting a massive win over the Dolphins, 43 points to 18.
Looking to run it, Nanai, wave it, back towards the centre field, throws a dummy, and scores! First blood of the Cowboys! last. Dearden gets there. Tommy Dearden.
Ben Hurley, this was a pretty damn exciting game after, starting Thursday with the Raiders and the Knights, just a shocking game. And then, to be honest, the rest of the games weren't that pretty either. This one, though, kind of saved the weekend. The Dolphins were okay, but the Cowboys looked electric, and they are a team that could finish first or they could finish 17th. I don't know where we should predict them this season, Ben, but you kind of specialise in predicting these things from round one. So what are you seeing for the Cowboys this year?
Well, I love the Cowboys. They are my second team, so I'm not going to predict anything for them. What I can tell you was that was a great performance, and I think this could be a very, very tough year for the Dolphins. They were sort of a pass mark last year, maybe slightly above expectations. But yeah, that old pack, Dad's Army, they are starting to creak, I reckon.
No, I agree with you there. And of course, injuries don't help. They lost Connolly Lemuelu kind of early on. I think they lost Tom Gilbert as well before the game even kicked off, which is a huge loss. But for the Cowboys, Zach Labert, who replaced Peter Hiku in the centres, he looks phenomenal. He scored 2 tries. He blew through the line, created a play out of nothing to set up Kyle Felt for a try under the sticks. That guy, Ben, is someone that I'm keeping an eye on and could even potentially bring into my Supercoach team at some point.
Well, I've got a lot of Cowboys in my Supercoach team.
Right.
I thought Reece Robson had a great game.
Oh, solid.
Tom Dearden, who is now the captain, co-captain of the side at age 22, looks just hilarious in post-show interviews, can I say. He looks like he should be getting his, backpack, packing his lunch away and going back to class straight after the game.
Yeah, there is a real sort of pattern of having guys that look like children playing in the halves in the NRL at the moment, because obviously Sam Walker's the same. Luke Carey still looks like he's 12 years of age. But the thing I really like about Dearden is he's a small guy. He's not super flashy, but holy cow, he's really good on defense. Like, he shuts people down, and he's just a solid all-around player, which is kind of the type of half you do want to build around in a club like the Cowboys.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've got those stars out wide as well. I thought Val Holmes had a great game.
Oh, he was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, we chose this game because there wasn't really any close games in this round. I mean, there were close games technically in the round, but they were in Vegas the weekend before.
Yeah.
So we just kind of chose this game because there was a bit of razzle-dazzle. It was some great Sunday afternoon footy with a couple of teams chucking it round. For whatever you say about the Dolphins, they still have some exciting talent in the backs particularly. And the Cowboys, when they click, they look great. My question, though, about the Cowboys, Jason Taumalolo, is not 2 years ago he was the best player in the world. And what's happened?
He got 20 minutes, Ben. Last year, Todd Payton is only using him where he thinks he's fit enough to be used, basically, So he obviously doesn't really see much value in having Jason Taumalolo there. And this is a guy who's on, is it $1 million a season or something like that? He's on a ridiculous contract. So is he someone that you would consider shipping off if you were able to for the Cowboys, or would you tell Todd Payton to free him up a bit more?
Well, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Where would he go? I think I think the next move for Taumalolo is probably Super League.
Yeah, right, okay, yeah. Well, he might actually be able to get back to, sort of similar to his destructive best, but it has been such an interesting fall-off from Jason Taumalolo. I don't know. Especially when you guys have got such amazing forwards coming through there as well. Guys like Ruben Cotter, Helam Lukey and stuff as well. So it seems like they don't really need JT to do what he used to do. Even Fine Fuiaki off the bench for you guys is an absolute animal. He's going to be a really promising player in the future, but it kind of makes me sad. JT, big Jason Taumalolo, not really having any impact at all these days.
I know. I mean, he was really the start of the great explosion of Tongan Rugby League and how that national team became so strong. And I know he is coming back from injury, so that's my only hope, really, is that he's still nursing. I think it's a knee or something like that. Yeah, he's had surgery, so yeah, that's why he's only playing short stints on the field.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, the days of him playing almost 80 and just being destructive the whole time, I guess, are over. But hopefully he can get back to something close to that. I agree with you. Val Holmes was in ridiculous form. He just looks so awesome out there, breaking tackles, quick hands to set up the winger as well. Tabuai Fido, of course, for the Dolphins, he is sort of their superstar in the backs. He had a few moments of awesomeness, but one moment towards the end of the game cracked me up where he kicked the ball straight into the hands of Helam Luki rather than diving on it, which was a bit of a comedy play. I think I do agree with you that last year the Dolphins did overachieve and everyone got, pretty excited about what Wayne was able to do with them. I think I can, and it's very early days, but I think I can see them finishing bottom 6 this year quite comfortably.
Oh, I think I mean, I know I'm really bad at predicting these things, but I think I have a feeling Dolphins are our 17th.
Oh!
Our glory hole.
All right, I'm going to pencil in the Dolphins for a premiership this year. That's great.
All the Titans, to be honest.
Yeah, all the Titans. And big shout out to the Dragons for putting the Titans away. Even though the Titans were without a few of their good players, Fafita, Jaden Campbell, etc. Maybe Shane Flanagan has turned around the Dragons. Actually, just while we're on the subject, what do you see the Dragons doing this year? Because from what I saw over the weekend, they look 10 times better than they did at any point last year.
I didn't watch many of the preseason games, but I saw them play. Can't remember now, but they did look pretty good. And my two bolters for this year, I'm definitely wrong about one of them because the other one was the Bulldogs, and they were absolutely awful. I thought. Yeah, they were. Yeah, but they've done big signings. I don't know. I don't know what the Bulldogs have to do. But my other one was the Dragons. I think we might be surprised by Dragons this year. Yep,
hopefully too. It's about time. Wasn't that long ago they were having barbecues at Paul Vaughan's and Jake DeBellum was hiding under a bed. So hopefully Shane Flanagan's in there. He's sorting things out and the Dragons could have a decent year. That wraps things up for the Stonka of the Round, the Cowboys taking on the Dolphins. But just quickly, Ben, we will touch on the Storm taking on the Panthers. It was 8-0. And it kept Craig Bellamy's ridiculous 20-plus year round 1 winning streak alive. The Storm winning with defence, but have you ever heard of, and this is the first time in rugby NRL history that this has happened, have you ever heard of a team keeping the 3-time premiership winners scoreless in round 1? That's just ridiculous, right?
It is. I mean, I feel for the Panthers because they seem to just leak players every year. However, they still win the competition and have for the last 3 years.
Well, so exactly.
I think they've lost players again. You'll know more. You'll know better than me.
Yeah, they've lost a few players. Obviously, Crichton going over to the Bulldogs. Zach Hosking going to the Raiders. You are right. And then the thing I took away from this game was, I was so fizzed up when it was 2-0 at halftime, and I was like, this is such good
old
watching.
School.
Yeah, real old school, a football score. And it was basically just two massively smothering defences trying to outboring one another the entire game. But takeaways I took from this game was obviously no Cam Munster, but Ryan Pappenhausen was back. It was good to see him running around out there with a head full of tape, even though he didn't really get up to much because of the smothering defence of the Panthers. But Taylor May, he's first game back since an ACL reconstruction. He played in the Super World, what is it called? The Super League World Club Challenge.
The World Club Championship?
Yeah, he played in that and looked pretty good in that as well. But he looked absolutely devastating playing at centre with Taruva outside him. And coming back from an ACL, I think he could be in for an absolutely monstrous year.
Yeah, well, we've got the Storm this week, and they haven't conceded a single point yet. So,
oh god,
I look forward to. I actually look forward. I think Roger Tuivasa-Sheck's going to look great back in centre, and he's going to be able to crack that line. That's my hope for this week. But yeah, Melbourne just an incredible defensive side.
Yeah, and they just seem to every year pull it out, especially in round 1. No Cam Munster, which is a massive sort of gap in their team, and they keep the defending premiers scoreless and beat them as well. So it's a pretty amazing achievement. And shout out to Remus Smith, the only guy who scored a try, aka the biggest hamu in the NRL, one of my least favourite players. Oh, another thing I'd like to quickly touch on, a former Warrior, Ali Katoa. He looked absolutely devastating out there for the Storm. I can see him having an absolutely monstrous year and us whinging about how he used to be a Warrior. Anything you'd like to say on the Storm Panthers, Ben, before we move on?
Oh, yeah, just one last point. I was mocking you guys for spending all your money on Nico Hines for Supercoach. I spent all mine on Cleary, who I know it's boring and a thing to say, but it's just the fact is they shut him down. He didn't score a lot of points at all, and I think that's how they control the game. You know, when they're not a one-player team, but as they continue to leak some of their stars, they do become more and more reliant on Nathan Cleary.
Absolutely, and they did shut him down nicely. All right, we'll take a quick break from there, folks, and we'll be back with some information on how you can win a sweet 4 and 24 pack prize pack. Who named the stupid thing? Including how you could win tickets to the Warriors taking on the Knights Sunday, March 31st. Welcome back to the Mad Monday podcast with Adam Whanua-Keezy and Ben Hurley. What was your name again? Sandor Hurl?
There was Hurley Farnworth for a while there.
Oh, Hurley Farnworth, yeah, of course. That's great, actually. I'm actually thinking of changing to Roger Keezy Vasashek for this year, but we'll see how that goes. Just before we do the
it makes just as much sense as the other one.
Adam will be gutted if I stop using his name. Just a quick PSA I'd like to do for all those people playing Supercoach this year, especially if you're new to it as well. If you do want to join our Mad Monday Munters group, 287823, chuck in that group code and compete against the ACC and all the listeners as well, which is all very exciting. But your team isn't crap, all right? It was a terrible, terrible round for Supercoach Rugby League. And even Di said this when we were at Mount Smart. He just goes, I think I've just chosen the worst Supercoach team of all time. And I looked at his team, and it was just full of guns who didn't fire this week. It's kind of a testament to Manly, the way they managed to get so many points whilst over in Vegas, and guys like Tom Turbo and Ben Trebojevic and stuff, they all scored really well, even Daly, Cherry Evans as well. But all the teams were kind of flops this week, and all the big players didn't fire. Your Nathan Clearys, your Pongers, your Nico Hines, none of them fired. So the guy that won your league this week is probably a newbie. That is what happened in the ACC's in-house competition. Marty, who's a great New Zealander, he smoked everyone else, and he's walking around with a bit of a spring in his step. He's a first-time player. I think that sums up how things went this week. Ben Hurley, how did your team go, actually? I might just check out your team.
I wasn't too bad. This is my second year playing it, and I'm not as deep as some of you guys, but I scored high with Val Holmes and Latrell and Payne Haas.
Yes.
But I picked Josh Adokar to have a massive comeback season. He scored 6 points this Supercoach round.
That's right. He obviously had an injury. He was spotted with his arm in a sling too, so that is no good. But hey, shout out to you, Ben, for having just a complete point of difference team. You vice-captained Latrell Mitchell. Even him, having him to start the season's nice. Everyone I know is just Ponga and Turbo, which is what I've done, which is kind of boring. You've got Payne Haas, Carrigan. You've got Dylan Walker at 5'8". I massively respect that as well. So.
He scored pretty well.
He did. He scored really well. Even my least favourite player, Remus Smith, you have him. He scored a try and got 55 Supercoach points. So keep an eye out for the ACC players in the big group. You've got the...
Can I give you my tip? Can I give you my tip for the last 2 years? He doesn't even cost that much, and he always almost consistently scores around 50 or more points.
Right.
Is Sania Taruva.
Oh, for the Panthers, the winger, yes. He gets through a lot of work.
The winger.
Well, considering they didn't even score a try or any points at all, so that's pretty impressive from a winger.
Yeah, he's some 55 Supercoach points. So that's my little tip for everyone this week.
Well, there you go. Keep an eye out for, you've got Hoha Hurley, which I love because he is pretty Hoha. You've got the Dozy Fraggles, that's Di Henwood. The People is Adam, our producer here. Adam Whanua-Keezy, of course, is me. The Pants Man is Marcelo Montoya Jr., of course it is. And then Mania is the Ruthless Pakeha Boys. So join our group. Keep an eye on those teams. And if you beat us, then you got plenty of bragging rights. And, of course, you could win a signed Warriors jersey. Now, before I let you go, Ben, have you heard about the 4 and 24 pack prize pack?
I mean, I have, but I always love hearing you talk about it.
Yeah, I know. You punished me the other night going, Keezy, tell me about that prize back again. It's so good. Basically, how it works is every single month, our podcasts are going to be giving away 4 tickets to a Warriors home game and a 4 and 24 pack of vouchers as well. So you'll be able to go to the game and have a massive feed too. If you're keen to enter, text the monthly keyword to 3236. Then listen to the podcast to find out the new keyword every single month. So this month, the keyword is FOUR. FOUR. Text that to 3236. Be in to win, and the winner will be going to the Warriors taking on the Knights Sunday, March 31st. That does it for the Mad Monday crew. Anything you'd like to say, Ben, before we say sayonara?
No.
Okay. For all you NRL fans out there, make sure you do join us for the Warriors game against Melbourne, 9:35 Saturday night. We'll be on Sky Sport 9, so do join us.
There is.
Yeah?
There is something. Make sure you join us for the Warriors v Storm game this weekend on the weekend.
Yeah, it is this weekend on the weekend. Saturday, 9:35, Sky Sport 9 from myself and Ben Hurley. Thank you very much for listening. We'll be back Thursday with a little weekend preview as well. We'll see you later.
All right.